I was wanting to talk about Christian unity. But so, whatever you think about Christian unity, we're gonna talk about that. But before that, today is June 4th. On July 6th, Kent Hovind is going to Ken Ham's Noah's Ark. Thank you. And so Kent Hovind is going to Ken Ham's Noah's Ark on July 5th, which is a Saturday. And on July 6th, a bunch of atheists are having a rally at Ken Ham's Ark Encounter. And so I don't know what they're going to do. They're basically protesting Noah's Ark, like they don't like something about it. I'm really looking forward to that. I want to go see Kent Hovind. I want to go see Ken Ham. I want to go see the Ark, and I want to go preach to some atheists, because that's one of the good things about someone who identifies as an atheist, is that means you need a witness to them, because, well, they're going to hell. If there was any question. I mean, you can't, one of the things you have to believe in to go to heaven is God. So an atheist is just like, they're perfectly in that position where for certain this person is going to hell. It's like, so someone else you might not know, but an atheist is like the perfect specimen for someone who is perfectly hellbound. Absolutely no hope. Because they'll even tell you that they don't believe anything happens after death. They don't believe in a higher power. They don't even believe in good and evil. Wow. Okay, yeah, so they're the perfect person to tell about Jesus and give hope to. Perfect. So, that all being said, now, Christian unity. So I became a Christian when I was 17, and I'm a 30 now, so I've been a Christian for 13 years. And my entire life as a Christian and all the research and studying I've done, there's no such thing as Christian unity. There is no such thing. It doesn't exist. It's never going to happen. And so when I get into like a debate or an argument with another Christian, and they're like, oh, calm down, we both believe in Jesus, let's just leave it at that. I want to say that in my experience, 100%, okay, so when I'm debating another Christian about the Bible or doctrine or theology, something, and then they say, well, we both believe in Jesus, so let's just leave it at that. In my experience, every time a Christian has said that, they were saying that because they were losing the debate and they wanted to end the debate. 100% of the time. I have never heard a Christian say that, well, we both believe in Jesus, let's leave it at that, when their point was like better and or that they were correct, or they were winning the debate. The whole thing about Christian unity is some Christians are all but hurt that Christians are not unified. But the thing is, the truth is this: there is no true church of God. There's no true denomination. There's no true, like suppose Baptist. Suppose Baptist was the true Christian denomination. There would be people who identify as Baptists who aren't really Christians. In the Bible, it says that not all Israel are Israel. Like, how is that possible? How can you be Israel and not be Israel? Well, it's because there are people who were Israel's children, but they didn't believe in God. They didn't obey God. And so even though they were literally Israel's descendants, yet they weren't going to get the promises. They weren't going to get in God's covenant, and they weren't going to be a part of God's blessings and promises because they rebelled against God. And it's the same thing with Christians. It's actually the exact same copy and paste thing with Christians. All Christians are going to heaven. All Christians are the true people of God, okay? And yet not everyone who is a Christian is going to heaven. There's tons of And this is obvious. There's tons of people who I say they are Christians, tons of people say tons of people who say they love Jesus, but they're not. They don't. They say they love Jesus, but they actually don't love him. But they still call themselves Christians. Some of these are easier than others to spot, like progressive Christianity. Progressive Christianity is basically Christianity, but without God and without the Bible. So what is that? Nothing. It's just nothing. So my point is, not all Israel is of Israel. Not all Christians are actually Christians. It's true. It would be true to say that all the Jews are the chosen people of God. It would be true to say that all the Jews are going to heaven. That would be true to say. But not everyone who says they are a Jew actually is. It's true that everyone who follows Jesus is going to heaven. But not everyone who says they're following Jesus actually is. It's true, like, so for instance, suppose the Baptist denomination was the true denomination. Not even if that was true, not everyone who is a Baptist is going to heaven. Because there's not everyone in the true church who actually is in the true church. This isn't complicated, is it? This isn't like hard to understand, is it? I don't think this is hard to understand. This is pretty simple, right? Like, not everyone who says they love you actually does. Not everyone who says they believe in God and worship him actually does. And you shall know them by their fruits. So how does this relate to Christian unity? Christians don't like it when other Christians argue about stuff. And because, they want to preserve Christian unity. And it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Christians argue all the time with each other. They argued in the Bible. Paul went around preaching the gospel, setting up churches, and then when he set this church up and set leaders over it, and then went to go set up another church in a different town or city or whatever, when he had circled back and came back to the church he had set up, they were practicing heresy and arguing with one another and saying, I am of Paul, I am of Apollos. They were arguing and stuff. And Paul had to set them straight. And that's the thing. Even in Paul's day, they weren't united. Which is why Paul just kind of says, whether Christ is preached, whether genuinely or contentiously, I'm just happy. I've learned, he's just content with that. If people are preaching Jesus, then good, at least Jesus is being preached. If a Catholic is preaching Jesus, that's good. If a Baptist is preaching Jesus, that's good. Now, I'm not talking about Christian unity here. I'm not trying to unify with Christians. I'm trying to unify with Jesus. I'm trying to unify with the truth. So if this group is preaching the truth, then I consider them useful to me. And I don't care, and this is the thing, I don't care who is preaching the truth, just so long as they are preaching the truth. I consider anyone who's preaching the truth to be on my side. And not that they're on my side, but rather they're on Jesus' side. And even if they're not on Jesus' side, they're on Jesus' side as long as they're preaching the truth. Like if a Democrat was preaching against abortion, but they believe in everything else that Democrats preach, they would be, I would agree with them. I would be on their side. I would support them. I would cheer them on, so long as they were, preaching against abortion. But if they started preaching that a man can be a woman, well, then I wouldn't be on their side anymore. But in this thing, I would be on their side. But it's not that I'm on their side. It's so that I'm on Jesus' side. Hello.
Hi.
It's just that I'm on Jesus' side and on the side of truth. And I don't really care what anyone else is doing. And that's something that the Bible says again and again and again. Even people who are not religious, they'll tell you to fear not. You need to get rid of fear. Because if you're serving the truth, if you are objective, if you are impartial, you are not biased and you're serving the truth with all your heart, with all your life, that's what you need to be doing. Just serve Jesus. Everyone else who's serving Jesus will end up walking next to you. And it's not that you guys are going to be walking together. It's just going to be that, you know, the path to truth, the truth is straight and narrow. The path to life is straight and narrow. So if you're following the path to life, then that's what you need to do. You know, the path to life is not unity. Jesus didn't say, I am the unity. No, he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. The path to life is not unity. The path to life is the truth. The path to life is Jesus. Jesus is the truth. Amazing. So this is how it works. Individual people will give their life to God, and they will serve him, and they will serve truth and righteousness and do what is good, and they will be fair. If a Democrat has a good point, then they will admit it. That was a good point. But if not, then they will say it was not a good point. And if they say, oh, you're wishy-washy. No, I'm not wishy-washy. If the truth was there, then that's where I went. If the truth was over here, then that's where I went. Whether the truth is on the left or the right, down the middle, wherever the truth is, that's where I want to go. And I happen to know that Jesus Christ is the truth. So I know so long as I cling to the truth, I'm going to be walking towards Jesus. And that's what I want. I want to follow Jesus. So all this to say, when Christians argue with one another, I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that. If we want to argue things or debate things, debate the Bible, debate theology, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. First of all, it's been happening the entire time. It's going to happen the entire time. It's never not going to happen. And Christians arguing with one another is not going to offend someone so much that they're not going to trust in Jesus anymore. You guys know that, right? You can't actually push someone away from Jesus. I know some people think you can. I don't think you can. Because Jesus Christ is the truth. What could I possibly say to you that would get you to hate the truth? I mean, yeah, we're supposed to preach the truth in love, but at the end of the day, when I was a child, I had been harshly rebuked and reprimanded for being bad. And then I still was like, you know what, they are right. And then, yeah, and that's at the end of the day, so long as the truth is preached, that's what matters. Now, we should preach the truth in love. That is the most effective way to do it. But as far as, Christians were not supposed to be afraid to offend people. Jesus was not afraid to offend people.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. And that's what we need to do. Don't be afraid to offend people, because Jesus wasn't. Jesus went out of his way one time to not offend the Pharisees. One time. Every other time, Jesus Christ just gave them both barrels. Every time. The Pharisees said, why do you transgress the tradition of the elders when you eat with unwashed hands? And Jesus said, and why do you transgress the commandment of God? Right? Jesus is not holding back. Jesus he's a man of focus, a man of discipline. He's John Wick. Yeah, that's what Christians are supposed to be. What Christians are supposed to be, individual cities on a hill, individual beacons of light. And it will just so happen that God will bring other beacons of light together. God will do it, but also the way people who follow Jesus walk. It's not like we walk in an unorderly, unpredictable way. We're just going where the truth is. And that's our plan. Individual people follow the truth, and then we kind of link up. And that's, to me, is real Christian unity. Not something that is forced, not something that I have to be nice to you. Because the thing, if the only way I can get you to follow Jesus is because I was nice to you, then you don't really follow Jesus. Don't Christians suffer persecution and hatred and like every bad thing for following Jesus? We're killed for following Jesus. What if the only way to follow Jesus was in safety? Jesus even says any man that will save his life will lose it. Like, it's not about me, it's about the truth, and it's about Jesus. There's a much bigger picture here, a much bigger thing going on. So if I'm arguing with other Christians about the Bible, I'm not offended. If I'm wrong, show me where I'm wrong. And if I'm a true Christian, I will go where the truth is. Easy peasy. But if you are wrong, and I'm telling you it, and then you don't repent and you're offended and you're huffy and puffy, well, then you need to repent. You have a problem. You have a pride problem where you can't admit you're wrong. Now, that technically doesn't mean you're not a Christian, but this does mean that you're kind of immature. Because you can be an immature Christian. But, that's something you need to work on. You need to become mature. You need to be able to admit when you're wrong. If someone says something that's true, and you're like, huh? What? You need to go with what the truth is. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter how it makes you feel. If seeing two people argue about Bible theology bothers you, then you probably just don't know enough about the argument, and you should just listen. Patiently, quietly listen. Don't get huffy and puffy. Don't think, oh, Christians are fighting, I can't handle it. We've been fighting since the beginning of time. The Christians have been arguing with each other forever. And every time we don't argue with each other, we become complacent and we become soft, and then we kind of let things go that we ought not. The fact that Christians are willing to argue with our own brothers shows that, that reminds me of that scene from Harry Potter when Neville Longbottom stands up to his friends because they were breaking the rules. And Dumbledore's like, it takes courage to stand up to your enemies, but it takes great courage to stand up to your friends. If my Christian brothers are going astray or doing things they ought not or believing things they ought not, it's the Christians to call it out, to argue with it, to debate it, to show this is not the way it's supposed to be. That's what we're supposed to do. And so, all that to say, there is no such thing as Christian unity. Everyone who is united will be united in Jesus, and everyone who's following the truth is going to be on the same path. So I don't have to force unity. I don't have to make unity this nice package deal where we all get along and sing praises to Jesus. Oh, no. If I follow the truth and you follow the truth, we will praise Jesus together. It is that simple. It's not complicated. Follow the truth. God is calling you as an individual to serve Him and to serve the truth. I keep saying serve the truth because we know that Jesus Christ is the truth. That's what you're supposed to do. Follow God, follow the truth. I tell my nieces and nephews, don't follow Jesus, follow the truth. I am confident, I am 100% certain if they follow the truth, it'll lead them straight to Jesus Christ. I wasn't looking for Jesus when I became a Christian. I was looking for the truth. It led me no detour. It led no detour. What, am I famous already? Because I'm freaking just walking around the park. If you follow the truth, it would lead you no detours straight to Jesus Christ. There's no, what's the word here I'm looking for? There's no detours, there's no other route. It just leads straight to Jesus. So that's the thing. If Christians are arguing, don't get butthurt, just listen. My favorite thing about debates is that you can hear what other people are saying. And then if one side is right and one side is wrong, then go with the side that's right. If they're both wrong, then just laugh and move on. But don't be offended that Christians are debating, because they have been forever. And when Christians stop arguing with each other, we become soft and complacent. Christians have to stand up to other Christians. Easier said than done, I know, but that's what you have to do. So this is why, if you really believe in Christian unity, you'll argue with other Christians.